Simultaneous equations. Simultaneous equations are two equations with two unknowns which share the same solution. For example, these x values are exactly the same value and these y values are exactly the same value in this pair of simultaneous equations. When you have a pair of simultaneous equations, you can solve and find the solutions for x and y in the following way. So the first thing we do is we label the equations 1 and 2. We're then going to eliminate one of the variables, so we'll eliminate either the x's or the y's. In order to do that, either the x's or the y's have to have the same coefficient. Now remember, coefficient means the numbers in front of the letters. So this is a 4. This is a 1 because there's nothing there, you just say 1x. This coefficient is 4 and this coefficient is also 4. Now we can see that the y's have got the same coefficient, which is 4. So we can eliminate the y's. Now to do that, we're going to subtract the second equation from the first equation. So 4x take away x, 4y take away 4y, and 16 take away 13, which gives us 3x equals 3. As you can see, 4y take away 4y gives us nothing. Then at this stage, when we have 3x equals 3, we just solve this like a normal linear equation. So we divide both sides by 3 to get x equals 1. Now once we have the value of x, which is 1, we're going to substitute this back into either equation to find y. I'm going to use equation number 2, just because that's easier to do, as there's only 1x here. So substituting x equals 1 into 2, we will replace the x with a 1, which gives us 1 plus 4y equals 13. So we will then subtract 1 from both sides. So 1 from this side and 1 from this side gives us 4y equals 12. And then the last step is we will divide both sides by 4. So that will give us y equals 3. Now at the end of the simultaneous equation question, once you find your x and y value, a very important step is to check that these two values work in the other equation. So we've used equation number 2 to find my y value. So we will check that both these values of x and y work in the other equation, which is number 1. So when we check in equation 1, we will replace the x value with 1 and the y value with 3. And 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12, so 4 plus 12 is 16. Therefore, we know that my answer is definitely correct. Here is another pair of simultaneous equations to solve. So first thing, let's have a look to see if either the coefficients of the x's or the y's are the same. As we can see, the y's have got the same coefficient. Therefore, we can eliminate the y to solve for x first. Now, this is where we need to be careful. If we were to subtract the equations like we did in the previous example, we would have minus 2x plus 6y equals minus 2. That is because x minus 3x is minus 2x. 3 minus 3y is plus 6y, and 13 minus 15 is minus 2. Now whenever you're dealing with algebra, the sign in front of the term belongs to the term. So this is not 3y but a minus 3y. Now we wanted to eliminate the y's in order to solve for x, but we still have the y's here. So what we do instead is we don't subtract them, but we add to eliminate the y's. So let's see. So if we add 1 and 2 together, we can see that the y's are eliminated and I'm left with my x's. So 4x equals 28, therefore x will equal 7. Now substituting that back into equation number 1, we will get 7 plus 3y. So we've replaced the x with a 7. Then when we solve this, taking 7 of both sides, we'll get 3y equals 6, and then dividing both sides by 3, we will get y equals 2. And don't forget the very important last step, which is to check in the other equation. So checking in equation number 2, so putting the x values and the y values into equation number 2, we will get 3 times 7, which is 21, minus 3 times 2, which is 6, gives me, in fact, 15. So that is definitely correct. Now in the first example, we subtracted to eliminate, and in this example, we added to eliminate. So we need to look at some sort of general rule. So what you do is you look at the coefficients of the terms you want to eliminate. If they are opposite signs, you add, and if they're the same signs, you subtract. Now let's just look at those last two examples. So the coefficients of the terms that we wanted to eliminate, which were the same, were the y's. They're both 3, and the signs were opposite, therefore we added the two equations. With the other example, the coefficients which were the same were also on the y's. They're both 4, and their signs were the same. They're both add, therefore we subtracted the two equations. So let's have a look at this example. So as we can see that these two terms, the x's, have got the same coefficient, which is 2. They are the same signs, therefore we're going to subtract these two equations. So we're going to subtract equation 1 from 2. So when we have 2x take away 2x, that'll be nothing. And positive 2y take away a negative 3y. So when you take away a negative and a negative become plus. So 2y plus 3y will give you 5y. And then 4, take away negative 16 again. 4 minus 16 will become a 4 plus 16. So that will equal 20. Then the next step is you divide both sides by 5, and then y equals 4. Substituting the y value back into either 1 or 2, they're both very similar. I will do 1, and then you get 2x plus 2 times 4 equals 4, so 2x plus 8 equals 4. Then subtract 8 from both sides, which will give me 2x equals minus 4, and then I want to divide both sides by 2, and x equals minus 2. Now that we have a value for y and a value for x, we want to make sure we check back into the other equation. So we use the equation number 1 to substitute y into. So let's check with equation number 2. So we've got our x value here and our y value here, and whenever we do 2 times minus 2, which is minus 4, and minus 3 times 4, which is minus 12, that does in fact equal minus 16. So it's correct. So our solutions to our simultaneous equations are x equals minus 2 and y equals 4. Now it's your turn to answer some questions. Pause the video, then try these. How did you do? Here are the answers. If you answered any incorrectly, have a look back through the video and try again.